There are cons. There are things that at the moment I don't like, but I don't feel fit to judge because I've only seen 4 hours of 18. But the Lucy and Andy scenes I found painful to watch. They don't feel like oddballs anymore. They genuinely feel like that they've had horrific life-changing head injuries. I had a really hard time trying to get through the scene where Lucy can't wrap her head around the concept of mobile phones. It seems so needlessly dumb. But then I got to wondering about the supposed inaccuracies between information we've had in the first 2 seasons and the secret history of Twin Peaks. And I wondered whether we can be absolutely sure whether Lucy's inability to grasp modern technology isn't just a result of idiocy, but maybe it's something to do with dealing with 2 separate and different realities. Can we be sure we're watching one consistent reality here? I'm not convinced. Mark Frost tweeted that the supposed inaccuracies in this will be explained. Does that make this a vital? Do you have to have read The Secret History of Twin Peaks to? I don't know. I don't know. But I think you do. I loved Evil Dale puking gum and Bozier. Most people seem to adore episode 4. I found the Rain Man Cooper sections really slow, interminable. Most of the frustration is mine. Cooper's been in the lodge for 26 years. In the period we've seen him since the return, while he's in there, he's been mostly non-verbal and reacting rather than acting. Seems to have very little agency, but I have absolutely no idea how this is going to play out. I don't know how the sort of shuffling, catatonic, deconstructed, non-existent Dale will last ultimately in this, and whether this section of the story will be relatively small or play a major part. I'm eager to get Dale back, and Frost and Lynch are frustrating my desires at every turn, just as they're frustrating my expectations with any turn. I seriously thought that the first sip of coffee would bring Dale back, like an idiot, as if they would be that obvious. There are still drugs coming into Twin Peaks. Does everyone else completely trust Bobby Briggs, now a deputy at the sheriff's office? Do you think he's doing all he can to shut down the drug routes from Canada? I don't know. What I do know is a shout out to Dana Ashbrook, whose pitch perfect reaction at seeing the prom picture of Laura Palmer and Laura's theme cues in, and he breaks down and the years drop from him, and you see the young boy full of braggadocio and brashness to cover the fact that he's alone and he's a scared little boy. He suddenly became Bobby Briggs again in an instant, and it was one of the most powerful moments in the 4 episodes so far. But it wasn't my favourite moment. The closing episodes of episode 2 are some of the most sublime minutes of TV I've seen in a long time, and it was the second time I openly wept at the new episodes of Twin Peaks. At the Roadhouse with, I think it's the Chromatics playing, and James turns up. Now, 2 things to say about this. One, deeply and intensely worrying. Shelley talking about the concern she has for her daughter and the relationship her daughter's in, and saying that something's wrong and she can see it in her eyes, and her friends are brushing it aside. It's her life. Stuart, was it Stuart? Anyway, the guy she's with is wonderful, and Shelley would know. I mean, Leo Johnson, the emotional, psychological and physically abusive relationship she was in, and the bruises that she hid, and the life she was living behind closed doors. She is trying to raise the alert, but again, still, even after Laura Palmer, the town is continuing to turn a blind eye to the potential abuse and violence towards a young girl in their midst. It's happening again, and it happens all the time, and it happens far too often. But my favourite moment, so full of melancholy and so perfectly capturing, and we were wondering, everyone was, what's it going to be like with these characters now, more than 25 years later? Everyone's older. I mean, we all get older. They're not the young ingenues they were anymore. Are they going to be able to recapture any of this? And just James simply looking over at Shelley's table and Shelley defending James slayed me. I've never liked James. I've found him annoying and boring and whiny and needy, and with a couple of short lines. And some people are already suggesting that the bike accident that he's had, and since then he's much quieter, actually involved Donna's death, but we don't know that yet. Shelley defending James just caught me right here. And James is still cool. James was always cool. I feel like that's Frost and Lynch talking directly to us and going, no, hey, no, I like James. James is good. James is decent. He's honest. He's earnest. He's gentle. He's truthful. The only sin he's ever committed is that he perhaps loves too much, and he's a little too naive about the power of love. Now, Garland Briggs said that he worried that love wouldn't be enough, and it seems that for now at least he's been proved right. I'm sorry, James. You are cool. I was wrong. You were always cool. And that bit, that slayed me. It slayed me. Just this beautiful, longing melancholy that they do so well, that completely turned around a character for me that I had absolutely no time for. I want more James in this series because I need to catch up with him and make amends. Evil Dale's interview in prison with Gordon Albert and Tamara Preston. Tamara Preston, by the way, character introduced in this, The Secret History of Twin Peaks by Mark Frost. I don't know if it's vital to read this to get the full context of what's being told to us here. I just don't know the answer to that. I think it is. Evil Dale's interview has an aura of absolute, utter wrongness that surrounds Cooper whenever he tries to act like Dale. Carl MacLachlan is knocking this out of the park. He seemed like someone wearing someone else's skin, and it was creepy. It was eerie. It made me instantly think of what Major Garland Briggs must have felt like when he met Cooper after he came out of the lodge. That's a meeting that's referenced in here. It's spoken about in the new TV series, first referenced in this. I don't know if it's vital to, etc., etc. Returning to the Roadhouse for the end credits of each episode makes me think and suspect that eventually this turning gyre of events will start once again to centre on the small town of Twin Peaks, and we might settle there some more towards the later part of the series. When and if the show does settle back down into the confines of Twin Peaks, I wonder if we're going to get a reprise of Angelo Badalamenti's amazing score and soundtrack from the first two series. I don't know. The soundscape in this so far is amazing. But I wonder if we'll get a resurgence of that slow, cool jazz. When and if Dale finally does reconstitute, and they're prick teasing us with that. I want Dale back. when and if he finally does, I'm likely to burst into tears again. We've been missing him for so long, and he's lost, and he's in trouble, and there are these disparate forces now aligning to try and help him. The world in the show, and our world, what we laughably call the real world, both worlds, and I think this is a show dealing with multiple worlds and probably multiple timelines. The world of Twin Peaks and our real world, we need Special Agent Del Cooper back in it. I hope he gets back soon. I can't wait to watch the next episode.